Today is very cold. Is it satisfying? Monks are a bit problematic. Some of them, Kru Jack has a fever. To be a Buddhist, you need to be reasonable. You need to have reason. Buddha's teaching is about cause and effect. If we don't understand reason, then it's superstitious, depending on faith. And if you don't study, then you will get lied to. You will believe whatever they tell you by thinking it is Dhamma when it is not. Sometimes it's just based on thoughts and their thinking. The Buddha's teachings and his disciples' teachings are also cause and effects and reason. This effects is caused by this cause, and this cause leads to these results. If we want happiness, we need to do the causation of happiness and destroy the causation of suffering. If we want to be freed from suffering, we need to understand where suffering comes from. Cause and effect. When you want to reduce the effect, you need to remove the causes. Many times we are too engrossed with the results rather than the causes. The results and the fruits are derived from the causes. When there's fire, the cause is many factors that cause the fire to come up. There has to be fuel. There has to be enough heat. There needs to be oxygen. Has several factors. When there is fire, nobody can extinguish the fire. When the firemen they use the water, it's about reducing the heat. That is one of the causes. So low temperature, or if the fire is burning the forest, no one can stop it. It burns until there is no leaves or trees left. Until there is no fuel left, it also becomes extinguished. So it doesn't stop at free will. It stops when there is no more cause. Or you see a car burning, if you spray the car with water, then it only makes the flame go up because there is still fuel in the car. So for that, they need to use foam, spray in the foam to cut the fuel from the flame. If you remove the cause, you also reduce the bad effects. So you cannot command the fire to be extinguished. You can only extinguish fire from removing the causes. Suffering is the same. You cannot remove suffering. You need to remove the causation of suffering. And the Buddha taught what is the cause. when he became enlightened, he looked at the dependent origination. He didn't think, but he saw the natural sequence of suffering. There is suffering. What the suffering is the effects. What is there that causes suffering? Because there is birth. Because there is birth, there is suffering. Or if we look at it more closely, because we are born, there is body. Birth is not only from being born from the mother's womb, but birth in the Buddhist meaning is about grasping at the sixth sense base. When you grasp at the sixth sense base, this is called chat, which is like birth or life. When you let go of the sense base, you will still, many still grasp at the heart, grasp at the mind as the self. So you suffer because of that grasping. As long as you grasp at the sixth sense base, there is suffering because the sixth sense base is suffering. Is suffering self, both the form and the formless. When you grasp at the suffering, the mind has a burden. So the mind grabs at the sixth sense base. The Buddha said, what is the cause of birth? Birth, there is the becoming, so there's the birth. So our life, physical life, is also a kind of world, a physical realm. To become freed from birth, you need to fix it at the cause. The body suffers because of the physical, but the mind suffers because of the mental strife, the mental fabrication. This is called Kamapop, the realm of karma. What is karma? It is intention. Intention is the karma. When you think about practice, you form the intention to train your body and mind. When there is intention, the mind fabricates a realm, the realm of the practitioner. When you have that, you grasp at the mind, you grasp at the body, and you suffer. So you practice, and whenever the mind fabricates or intend, there is suffering regardless of how much pleasure. It is still suffering like animals. They have delusion. The hell beings have suffering. Even angels, they have suffering from being lost in the pleasures. Our minds interchange between these states. Sometimes our mind is greedy, it fabricates the realm of ghosts. Or when we are angry, the mind fabricates the realm of hell. The hell beings are filled with anger and misery is the realm of hell beings. So when we are angry, tell yourself that you are being a hell being. Or when you are greedy, tell yourself you are like a bread, a ghost. Or when you grasp to your point of view, you have the realm of the demons, the the people who think that the people who think they are brave, they are good, they are not brave. Asura means they are not brave, so they have to act confident. So when you are deluded, you are like an animal. Our minds are interchanged between these states of mind. Or when you have morality, then you are in the realm of a human. If your mind has wholesomeness and good merit, not just morality to force yourself, but you have morality because you are shameful of doing bad, you are afraid of the bad fruits, because you know that when you do bad things, bad results always follows. When you are angry at someone, your mind suffers for a while, even after that event has passed. When your mind has a lot of lust and you engage in sexual acts, your meditation will weaken for a period of time. So when you practice more and more, you will be shameful of these acts and you see the negative effects of these acts. At least your mind meditation is weakened if you focus the mind on an emptiness is like the realm of the Brahma. The mind keeps fabricating realms. So break it down more. There is sensual realms. Sensual realms are from the hell to the highest level of heaven, the sixth level. We are in the sensual realm, while the form realm is the people who achieve the material jhana, the form jhana, while the formless realms are those who achieve the formless jhana or deep meditation. Every time the mind fabricates a realm, there is always suffering, because in all realms there are always fabrication. The realm is like a mental fabrication. Whenever there is fabrication, there is suffering. Dhamma is very delicate and refined. You cannot think, you need to practice to see dependent origination. If you see it with clarity, until the fact that the mental cankers is the cause of lack of ignorance, and ignorance is the cause of cankers, then you will see clearly. But until then, just have mindfulness of the present moment as it is, with neutrality, and see it as it is. The mind, whenever it strives, even good or bad, there is suffering. Just be aware of that, and you will see that whenever suffering arises, fabrication arise, suffering arise, even good mental fabrication is a burden for the mind. What is the cause of realms is about the clinging and attachment. What do we cling to? We cling to sex, sensual desires. We cling to the six sense base. We cling to those sensual pleasures. We cling to our views and identity. Many people kill each other simply because of a difference of thoughts, like Hitler killing the Jewish population by 5-6 million because he clung to his viewpoints that this race is not good. Viewpoints is one thing, but the clinging to this thinking and killing them and believing that it will be good is a misconception. People fight, argue because of viewpoints. They hurt each other because of viewpoints. When you cling to viewpoints, some people cling that this person is my teacher. When someone insults their teacher, they become angry. They cling to their teacher regardless of right or wrong. They have a strong opinion. When they die, they become demons. Not really that brave, but just attached to overconfident in their beliefs. So we attach to the sensual pleasures. We attach to our viewpoints. We are attached to ourselves that we exist. Can you feel that you exist? Just look at yourself. There is someone inside, and you grasp to that since the birth. Even until death, you grasp at that sense of self. You assume that you exist. Another grasping is grasping at morality in a superstitious manner. But if you have morality without superstition, then it's okay. But some people, they believe that you can only good things from being a vegetarian. So they don't eat meat. They think that it's good, but actually they attach to the moral. Some people think that if they eat green peas, they will become enlightened, or if they go wash themselves in a certain river, they will become enlightened. This is called moral conduct in a superstitious manner. And if someone tells them otherwise, they become angry. What the things that we are attached to are four things: is the sensual pleasures, the viewpoints, the sense of self that we exist, and also the morality with superstitious. Some people believe that the more kind of moral code they have, the better, and they are better than other people. When because other people have less moral conduct than them. This kind of moral conduct is not to remove the sense of self, but to increase the ego that is better than others. Luangpu scolded some of his disciples that they always count their moral code to 227 based on the monks 227, and they forget about their 5 moral code. They attach to their sense of ego that they are better than the lay people. This is not good. What leads to that clinging? What leads to that craving and desire? Craving leads to clinging. And you observe that when you desire, you will grasp. The grasping, the intention is the karma, and the grasping will lead to suffering. So when Buddha practiced, he looked at dependent origination, and what exists, what is the cause, what is the cause of suffering, craving, what is the cause of contact, is because of the sixth sense base. What is the cause of happiness and sadness? It's because of the contact. When you have contact, before there is sensation, there is a process until sensation become wholesome and unwholesome interpretation of the sensation. There's also a lot of sub-steps. Don't overthink it, just slowly observe. And what is the cause of contact? Contact comes from the having the organs, the senses, and it comes into contact with the different senses like sight and sound. So when there is contact, you need to have an internal sixth sense base as well as an external sense base, as well as the consciousness. So if you open your eyes and you look, and someone move into your sight, but your mind was engrossed with thoughts, then you will not see even if you open your eyes. So there is no contact. Contact arises when there are 3 Dhamma: internal senses, external senses, and the consciousness. To have this, then there is contact. What is the cause of contact? The Buddha contemplated is the cause of contact is the name and form, the form and the formless. The mind is the formless, and the organs and the sound are material-based, form-based. The mind that is aware is the formless. So sense contact require the senses and the external stimulant. And what is the cause of form and formless is the consciousness. This is more difficult to see. If you practice until the mind goes into a state of mental rest, and then when it comes out, it first comes into contact with the body. Then when the mind comes into contact with the senses, it can use the senses to make sense of the external environment. This mind is called the the patisonthijit, the mind that leads to the form and the formless, and what leads to the consciousness is because of the mental formations, and what leads to the karma formations is because of ignorance. Of ignorance, it leads to the formation and the mind. And what gives rise to ignorance? The cankers, the mental intoxicants, give rise to the ignorance. The cankers are like if you try to preserve the vegetables, adding the salt and vinegar. The vinegar and the salt go into the vegetables. It's like it goes deep into the mind itself. So it's like the intoxicants that try to preserve this, the tend the mind. When the mind has a lot of tents and cankers, it will not be able to see itself. So if you are aware of the cankers, it disappears, and then it comes back again. When it disappears, you contemplate that the mind is the cause of the suffering, or in a more coarse manner, then the body is the suffering. When there is cankers, you will not see the truth. The cankers hide the truth from the mind. When the mind is tainted by the sensual cankers, you will not see the body as suffering. You will see the body as a nice vehicle that allows you to consume the sensual pleasures. When these cankers die in the mind, you will not see the truth or the cankers for realms. Monks who study under me, I take them to see the different mental states, the fabrication of the mental states, but the cause of it is the cankers, so it has the habitual habit of creating realms. When you first practice, you don't see this is very refined. So there is sensual intoxicants, intoxicants for the realm, intoxicants for the viewpoints, and intoxicants for not wanting to be freed from ignorance. Some people, they don't want to see the truth. People want to escape from the suffering and be in the happy realms. So if you don't see the suffering, you cannot wash away the intoxicants. You need to fight. Dhamma is full of cause and effect. You need to slowly practice. When you practice, you understand the middle chain of dependent origination. The mind, the eye, open your eyes and you will come into contact, and then there is happiness and sadness arise. But before the happiness and sadness arise, there are so many steps. The mind comes into contact with the object, and then the mind, at first the mind is neutral, is equanimous when there is the first contact. and then it will translate the picture into meanings. What does this picture mean? And when the translation is done, it will give weight and meaning, like this is a beautiful girl, and then there will lust will arise. There is a process before the desire arise, but you don't have to go into these details. Do what you can. Observe that when you are about to get angry, it's not about looking and get angry. You need to think first. Before you love, you need to think first. When you think, you are deluded. Delusion is the ancestor, is like the father, mother of the thinking mind. And the mind thinking, you fabricate desires. You need to observe it. You cannot see this by just reading the theories. When I became a monk during my teenage years, the abbot gave me the book of Buddha Bhikkhu. In the book, it said dependent origination. The Buddha Bhikkhu said that the Buddha taught that whoever sees dependent origination sees Dhamma. Whoever sees Dhamma sees dependent origination. So I have always wanted to see dependent origination since then. So I went around asking different monks who are older than me, what is dependent origination? They answer very high level, like it's cause effect, and then they walk away. Most of the monks don't understand dependent origination. After I came out from monkhood, I went to find out the theories of dependent origination, because that's what the Buddha Bhikkhu suggested. So I went to study. I went to find the book on dependent origination. I got the book by Buddha Bhikkhu and read it. Visha, ignorance is about not understanding the Four Noble Truths. It leads to mental fabrication, formation. There are good, bad, and neutral kinds of formation. Formation is the causes of consciousness. Consciousness leads to form and the formless. The five aggregates leads to the six sense base. There are a lot of concepts. I understand the vocab, but I did not understand the way to observe. How does it work? I couldn't find the answer in the book. I read another of Buddha Bhikkhu book, the bigger book, but I still did not know how to practice. I only knew theories. I went to see him at his temple. I asked him, if I read all your books, will I understand your Dhamma? Will I understand Dhamma? I asked him. He said, no, you need to practice. Even if you read every single book, you will not understand Dhamma. To understand Dhamma, the scriptures, the theories are just like the map, but to reach at the destination, you need to walk to the destination. Otherwise, you will not get real wisdom, but you only get memory. When you read, you get memory. Memory doesn't scare the defilements. Defilements are not scared of theories, they are scared of the truth. The truth comes from being aware of the body and mind until it sees the truth. It sees the truth of the body and mind. When that you think that this body and mind is you, but when you practice Dhamma, you can separate the mind into 5 aggregates, the body and mind into 5 aggregates. You will see that this is not self, it's just elements. You see the sensation, feelings arise when the mind is stable in knowing. You see that the sensation is being observed, it's not you, it arises and disappears. The perception arise and fall away. The good and bad formation arise and fall away. You start to see that the Dhamma factors that constitute the mind, the mental factors, that is the mind and the mental factors. Anger is not the mind, but it tends the mind. Desires are not the mind, but it's just the object that tends the mind. The mind nature is just to know, but it changes from just knowing to do this and that because of the defilements. The defilements manipulate the mind, which is bright and luminous based on the characteristics. So if there is anger, then it shapes the mind towards anger, when actually the mind is just a knowing mind. Or even some people see bright light, it's just a mental imagery, it's not a mind. The mind has no form, no shape, no light, no taste. Our body has color and shape, but the mind does not. So how to see the mind which has no form arise and fall? We see the mind arise and fall from the mental factors. So the mind, we see the mind, angry mind, sad mind, or different states of mind arise and fall. You will understand that mind and mental factors, they arise together and fall away together, and they consume the same object. Whenever there is mind, there is mental factor. The mental factor is what shapes the mind into hundreds of different mental states. This and that mental states come from the mental factors, while the mind itself is just the knowing nature. It has no taste or sight or sound or color, but it appears that way because of the mental factors. When you practice more clearly, you will see that the mind arise and fall at the sixth sense base, at the sight, sound, taste, the contact, the thoughts, the smell, the mind. So you see the mind arise and fall at the sixth sense base. You can see this if your mental faculties are strong enough. So if you see this, then even the knowing mind is impermanent. So you cannot depend on the knowing mind. You cannot grasp at it. You just use the knowing mind to cut the deluded mind into pieces. So there is interchange between the knowing states and the non-knowing states. Without the knowing states, then the mind is always in a non-knowing state. And they will think that the mind has only one mind. This is a delusion. The mind arise and fall all the time. If you believe that there's only one mind, then it's a delusion that there is one immortal mind. The mind has to, even the well-trained mind has to be let go. If you cannot let go, then your task is not yet done. If you still grasp at the mind, then it will still keep fabricating. That's why Luangpu Dun said, if you find the knowing mind, destroy the knowing mind. The knowing mind arises. Destroying here is not to destroy, but to not be attached to it, not to cling to it, to see that the knowing mind arise and fall, and you don't grasp at it. When you practice, you see that the knowing mind is subjected to the three characteristics. When you see this, you understand the Four Noble Truths, that the mind itself is suffering, and you let go of the mind, and you will not grasp at the mind. You will not grasp at the mind because you realize it is just suffering. We grasp at our mind now because we value it. But if you practice and you see the truth, it's like a hot iron, bright and beautiful. But when you grasp at it, it leads to all kinds of suffering. When the mind understands this, it let go of the mind. So when the mind is trained, then it will not pick itself up. But this requires understanding the Four Noble Truths clearly, because they don't realize the cause of suffering. The body suffer is normal, but the mind is like the godfather of suffering. If you don't understand today, it's fine. I teach as a way for you to come and listen later in case you will need it in the future. When you see it by yourself, I tell you this not from the regurgitating of theory, but tell you with confidence from the practice of the masters. And we compare to the theories and it is seamless. You need to practice with confidence that you can reduce suffering. If you are free from mental fabrication, that is nirvana. Nirvana is freedom from craving, is called viraka. It's called freedom from mental formation, is called visankhan or asankhatta tham. The nature without formation is liberation, letting go, not attached, not non-clinging. Keep learning, don't give up. The cycles of rebirth is endless. It has no beginning. You cannot see beginning or end. Yes. You cannot see, it's infinite. You are like a explorer in this endless rebirth, searching for happiness but never achieving it and being reborn again, uh, searching again and dying again, repeating itself until once in a while the Buddha became and arise, and we study under the Buddha from the scriptures. If you can study, study. But I did not go to school, but I read by myself. I don't understand all the scriptures because some concepts are beyond even the disciple level. The disciple cannot understand all the teachings of the Buddha, but everyone can practice the teaching that lets you liberate yourself from suffering. In the scriptures, there are not only teachings of Buddha, but also the teachings of the elders, the senior disciples. Some of it is excellent. When during the Buddha's time, there was a monk who just became enlightened under the Buddha. They went to ask him, and he said that he knows very little. The person who asked just said, "Tell me whatever you know." So he explained what the nature arises from the cause. The Buddha teaches at the cause. This phrase is like, although it's taught by a disciple, but our ancestors uh, coded this on on stones and scriptures by hoping that in the future become extinct if they can see this phrase, then hopefully they can revive Buddhism. So the monk at the Buddha's time that taught this was a Sashi monk. The person who heard this was Upatissa. He later became known as Sariput monk. Upatissa Sariput went to tell Golita, who then became Mokkhalana. Golita heard this, whatever Dhamma arise from the cause, the Buddha taught at the cause and removed the suffering at the cause. Then Mokkhalana heard this phrase from his friend. He also became a stream enterer. This phrase taught by a Sashi monk created two of the most senior monks, the left and right disciples. And the followers of these two also heard this and they become enlightened. Dhamma scriptures doesn't just have to be Putta Vajana or the Buddha's words. Will the tour or like people, the trolls on the internet come attack me, but it's okay. I speak the truth. But I warn you that people who scolded me, none of them seem to be doing well. Well, homework is quite surprising that when they hear about fighting and arguments, they become excited. These people today are excited by fights. They become alert by the fights. Number one. Number one. I practice 1 to 2 hours breathing meditation. When the mind is scattered, I use Putto as well. I see the mind thinking. I see wholesome and unwholesome. I see anger. Sensation arise and fall away. I still engage in sensual activities, and I see that it affects my meditation. See, this is what I said. The meditation disappear after sexual acts. After more you practice, you will not want to have sex. Your practice is well, but now you are too forcing yourself too much. Keep practicing, you practice well. Don't expect results. Just do it to pay homage to the Buddha. Number two. Number two, I use breathing meditation and mindfulness during the day. I listen to your YouTube and use self-reflection. I use the 32 contemplation. I see myself as a bone. When I go to the dentist and I feel pain, I put my mind on the toe. When I look at my mind, my head, I see skull, but it doesn't break apart. You can just observe like this. There's no need to try to destroy the skull. The skull will get destroyed from the strength of meditation. Just keep doing as you do. Keep collecting the right understanding. Can you see that the body is not you, but you still grasp at the body? You have the right view that the body is not you, but the grasping is there. When you see that the body is 100% suffering, then you let go. The mind is the same, but you haven't entered. You could not see yet the mind is not you. When you can see that the mind is not you permanently, then you become a stream enterer. What you do is good. Keep practicing. Be determined. You need to. This path requires perseverance. It takes time to teach the mind, because this mind has been stupid for eons. When you hear right Dhamma, you accumulate right understanding. Now the understanding is in the brains, but in the future it will be in the mind. That is where you let go of the defilements, because the defilements is not in the brain but is in the heart. I encourage you, fight. Can you see that the mind is still attached to calmness? This arises from desire intention to be good, to do well. When that is tight, just be aware, don't let go. The mind is in the mental formation. Usually the mind suffers, just be aware. Number three, I use the body breathing as an object. I see the workings of the mind and the body. I want to appear good. When I don't appear good, I try to force the mind, manipulate the mind. I feel bad when I don't feel good or criticized or rejected. That's like a work to feel this sense of ego. I feel suffering. Be stronger. Just be aware. Be aware that you have defilements, that you try to protect yourself. Be aware. It's okay to protect yourself in the world, but just be aware that you are protecting. It doesn't mean that you walk and you hurt yourself, but when you feel that you want other people to think that you are good, you just be yourself, be good, and be aware of the sense, the desire for others to accept you. Just be aware. Good. Your practice is okay. Number 4. Number 4. I use formal practice using Putto. It wanders away and I'm aware. If it scatters away too much, then I pray. Later on, when I try to practice, it feels a tightness and try to understand the cause becomes even tighter. So I use meditation and then it comes out and it's free from that tightness. This doesn't happen often. It cannot be controlled. That's correct. It cannot be commanded or controlled. This is the intention, the desire, intention to be good. It creates the realm trying to force. This is when you force yourself, there's a tightness in the chest. When there's a tightness in the chest, then you want to reject it. Then there's more desire to push it away. And then there's more suffering upon suffering. So when there's a tightness in the chest, don't be startled. When there is tightness, there's already the effects. The cause is the desire. When you see the cause, just let go at the cause. The fruits will be let go. You cannot let go of the suffering. Suffering is to be aware. You need to let go of the desires. The desires, if you are aware of that, it will not be able to direct your mind. It will be free from the fabrication. So be aware of the cause, the desire. Number 5. Number 5. I practice by chanting. Body breathe in, body breathe out. I become more accustomed to the chanting and the breathing. I make progress. I see that my mind sinks into the object less. I see that I still fixate my mind from time to time. Your practice is okay from time to time. Reduce. You push your mind too high. Come back to the world. Study the world. Don't bring the mind to beyond the world. Bring it down. Breathe. See the body. Breathe. See the body breathe. And be aware. This don't float. This is the way. Don't float your mind like before. Come back to your body. The mind always likes to jump to the high ground because it's accustomed. But come back to the body. Breathe and be aware. Breathe and be aware. The mind likes meditation. It doesn't want to be in the sensual realms. It wants to go into the deeper meditation. It's okay, but it wastes a lot of time. If you want to be free quickly, you need to come back to be aware of the body as it is. The realm of the body is the most appropriate for practice because both suffering and bliss are temporary. The good and bad are temporary. But if you bring your mind to the Brahma realm, everything is lengthened. Also, the wisdom will take a long time to accumulate. The human realm is the best for wisdom accumulation. So try to be a human, be aware of it as it is. Don't force it up, don't lift the mind. Just be like this and learn about the body and mind. Number 6. Number 6. I practice using Putto. My mind is still scattered. I see suffering arise, including the mind. I don't know the cause. I let go from time to time. During the day, I pray Itipiso and Putto. Whenever I have mindfulness, I try to preserve my moral conduct. Is my practice okay? At least, yes, at least you get meditation when you pray. Your mind doesn't do bad. At least the mind will go towards good realms if you keep praying Itipiso. But if you want wisdom, you need to see the three characteristics of the body and mind. But the meditation Itipiso is good. Just keep observing the body, see the suffering of the body. Number 5, you are making progress. You're not going to the meditation realm. Be a human is easier to accumulate wisdom. Number 7, I use Putto as a meditation object. Every day I pray. I open my eyes when I meditate because I like to fall asleep when I close my eyes. I use walking meditation. Just keep doing. To do it until the mind is enough. Observe that you use your mind to go and see. You send your mind. You send your mind to think and listen. Just be aware when the mind goes here and there. Just be aware whenever you can. Number 8. Number 8. During the day, I practice mindfulness. I suddenly hear this big sound that the body is not me. When I walk and sit meditation, sometimes I remind myself knowing mind is also not me. Keep practicing until mindfulness, wisdom, and meditation becomes automatic. You are doing right. Just keep doing. Number 5, when your mind is with the body, contemplate that the body is suffering. Observe it with a normal mind. Observe with the mind that is not fixated. Just contemplate with the normal mind. Enough for today. The monks have to go shave today. and also พระอาจารย์ needs to go give a sermon